Good morning, everybody. Hey, welcome to Friday, June 3rd. Hope that you had a great week and heading into the weekend. Yes, we're still seeing some up and downs in the market. Yesterday, not a bad day. Question is, can we keep it going and make this a positive week? We'll talk about that and more when Dave joins us here in just a few minutes. But before we do, let's just remember that there's a lot of things out there in this world that we cannot control. However, there are things that we can control. And one of the biggest things that you can control within your portfolio is how much risk you're taking on and understanding how that risk matches up with your risk tolerance. Hey, give us a call at 863-382-0037 to walk through our core retirement design. Love to jump on a phone call with you, 30 minutes. Make sure you're on the right path to the retirement you always dreamed of. With that, stay tuned. We got Dave coming up next.
19 before 9. As always, this time of the morning, we check in on your money and see how Wall Street's treating your retirement funds today. And, well, yesterday they weren't too mean to them. As a matter of fact, they were pretty doggone good to them. Let's check in and see why and the wherefores with Phillip Statler from Statler Financial Services. Phillip, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Dave. Hey, doing well today. It's Friday, so the first Friday of June. And so, hey, even though we got a tropical storm heading this way, hopefully folks will be prepared and make some rainbows out of the storm coming through.
Absolutely. One of the weirdest shaped tropical storms I think I've ever seen. It has got such a big bulge off to its east. Alan says we're going to get most of our wind and rain for our exposure to it here in Highlands County. Today, into the overnight tonight, it's not even going to make landfall down near Punta Gorda or so until sometime early tomorrow morning. And by then, most of it's going to be gone from our neck of the woods. It's kind of a weird storm. Current track has it going across Okeechobee, and to repeat once again, it hasn't gotten a name yet, but they kind of expect on the 2 p.m. update this afternoon to upgrade it to Tropical Storm Alex, and it'll make landfall as a weak tropical storm. So we're keeping a weather eye out. Storm clouds on the markets yesterday kind of cleared for a while. We were up by over 1.33% on the Dow. 2 2.2% up, 322 up on the NASDAQ, and the S&P was up by almost 2%. We took back everything we gave up the day before. Not a bad day, was it?
No, it wasn't a bad day. And the question for me today is that can we follow through and can we end this week on a positive note? And just a forewarning right now, it's not looking that way, but yeah, I was hoping, right?
Yeah, well, we didn't know what to expect out of the employment numbers, and we got a passel of them out of the government this morning. And my tip sheets were saying this could be a good news, bad news thing today, where like we always say, sometimes good news is bad news for the markets, and we might be looking at that today. First of all, we talk about the number of employees that we added in the past month, and we were a little nervous about this because ADP for the private sector underperformed considerably, but actually we ended up with some good news for the economy. 390,000 jobs added in the last month. They were only expecting about 323, so that's good news, and it keeps the employment market hot. The official unemployment rate that the government's going to be reporting every day, every hour on the news today, stays stable at 3.6%. Market was expecting a little decline, but still 3.6% is abnormally low unemployment, and it's full employment plus, which means the employment market is still relatively hot. And with a Fed meeting coming up this month, that may very well give the Federal Reserve just a little bit more credibility to raising rates a little bit more aggressively.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's a possibility, but I got to tell you, Dave, if they raise rates more than anticipated, that would send a shockwave through the markets when they do that, because they've already kind of gave us some certainty, right? That, hey, look, 0.5%, 0.5%, and 0.5 or 1/4. The last one of the year, they kind of uncommitted, but the next two, they've pretty much committed to 0.5%. So anything other than that would be a bombshell.
True, but they may very well have a rationale for accelerating the shrinkage on their balance sheet, which isn't necessarily a reference rate increase, but still could have the effect of increasing rates. And if the employment market continues to be hot, this is one of those weird times in which actually we want the employment market to cool off just a little bit. And you're seeing some indications out of company reports that they're actually starting to cool off by a bit, huh?
Yes, sir. I sure am. I keep kind of going through the headlines, and the big headline this time is Tesla.
Mm.
Um, Tesla has ordered an immediate hiring freeze and a 10% reduction in staff. Now they're probably going to be helped a little bit though, because Elon Musk came out yesterday or the day before and ordered basically his staff, all Tesla employees will now work at the office, no more working from home. And so, as you said earlier, when we were talking before we went on the air, that may take care of that 10% really quick because they don't want to come back to the office. But yet still, that's a 10% reduction there. And then Coinbase also announced yesterday that they were having a hiring freeze. And they didn't really talk about layoffs, but based on reading between the lines that I was reading there, I anticipate that they are going to see some layoffs there as well because of the reduction in the price of digital currency. It's affecting the number of people that are playing in that game right now.
Absolutely. There's been some challenges in that sector to begin with over the last few months. We really haven't paid as much attention to it as some have. But yeah, the company that basically made their name in selling Bitcoins, all of a sudden, nobody wants Bitcoins for a little while the market's tanking on it.
That's right. And so that seems to be a little bit of an issue for them, right? So, that affects revenue, which means, hey, we don't have as much there to pay employees. So,
Understood.
I anticipate that we'll see more and more companies, the bigger companies, start to modify their staffing, which usually means it's going to affect the middle management more than anything.
Understood. The rest of the government data dump this morning pretty much was on target, just so they know that we know that we're watching. Average hourly earnings, we were expecting a 0.4% increase in hourly earnings for our laborers, only up 0.3%, but year over year, a 5.2% increase in average hourly earnings, about what we expected. And we're working an average in this country of 34.6 hours a week, and that's the same as it was last month. So the rest of the report was kind of a kiss in your sister process, but still a lot hotter employment market than economists expected, and that could be kind of interesting for guesstimating what we're likely to look at as far as an economic policy for the foreseeable future in the next couple of months. Like I said, especially with the Fed meeting coming up later on this month.
It's definitely going to give the Fed more to digest.
Absolutely. Speaking of things to digest, how are the quarterly reports coming out from the companies we buy and sell?
It's a little bit of a mixed bag today, Dave. We have Lululemon. They reported, and they had better than expected results, both on earnings and on revenue. And they raised their full year forecast, which, that's always a good thing. So they're continuing to see strong demand for their premium sportswear. And I will say it is premium. It's not cheap for sure. They're trading up about
Do I get the feeling somebody in your family buys that stuff by that verbal grimace I heard?
Not a lot, but I've walked through their stores and you get a little sticker shock sometimes when you go through there. But they're trading up about 0.5% this morning, and they closed up yesterday 4.3%. So, they're going in the right direction for sure. And so, but on the other hand, now we got Restoration Hardware, which last quarter seemed to be doing okay. This quarter, a little weaker than expected revenue. Well, I tell you what, their earnings were good, but they have given an unexpected revenue outlook for the full year, weaker than what people thought it was going to be. Even though they had a better profit than expected for the last quarter, they did announce that they're going to expand their stock buyback program by another $2 billion.
Okay.
but not helping their stock this morning, down 3.3%. But just kind of knocking out the gain from yesterday. Yesterday it was up 4.1%. So
I'm kind of guessing that guidance figure is sensitive to the construction industry, which we know is kind of strolling along the edge of a cliff.
Yeah, it is. You know, it's walking a fine line right now, I think. CrowdStrike, which is a cybersecurity company, they had better than expected results as well. And they gave upbeat outlook, but for some reason they are trailing today. Maybe the numbers weren't as good as what everybody thought they should be, but they're trading down today 4.4%. And now some of it could be, like I said, yesterday it had a great day. It was up almost 8% yesterday. So maybe when the numbers came out, they just weren't quite up to what everybody thought they should be, and so we're seeing a little bit of a retraction there. Got two more for you. We have a company called Okta, OKTA. Never really heard of it, but they're an identity management software company. They had better than expected results for their first quarter. And yeah, I like this statement. They're not seeing any impact they had a security breach, I guess, back in March. So that hasn't impacted them, nor the macroeconomic conditions have not impacted them. So that's some good news, I think.
Yeah, a lot more consumers running up their plastic. I would imagine that's probably a pretty healthy line of work to be in these days.
Yeah, so they were up yesterday. Get this, up yesterday 11%. Right now, they're up another 14.7% from their close yesterday. So they're having a really, really good day here. The last one I'm going to give you is a company called PagerDuty. It's a cloud computing company. They had better than expected revenue for the last quarter. They lost money, but it was a lot less than expected. And they anticipate that they will be able to report an annual profit next year. So that was some good news for them. They're trading up 0.25% this morning, but yesterday they were up almost 8%.
Cool. I take good news any day of the week. Resetting the table, I'm almost getting used to 1%, 2%, and 3% swings in the market every day, which is kind of a scary thought. That was what we had yesterday. Everybody was up 45 minutes before we opened this morning. Philip, what's happening to us this morning?
Well, we're going the opposite direction, Dave.
Well, poop.
We're going down. We're trying to give back what we can today. We got the Dow down 0.75%. The S&P 500 is down 1%, and the NASDAQ 100 is down almost 1.5%. So some significant downward pressure this morning. On the commodity side, it's kind of a mixed bag on the precious metals. Silver is up about 0.2%. Gold is down about 0.5%. And Dave, crude oil.
Yeah, I'm afraid of this.
Up 0.5% this morning. It's up to $117.50 a barrel.
Well, crap, hold on.
Man.
Even though they warned us it was coming, I still don't like it. The overseas markets, mixed bag in Asia. Pretty much everybody was down, but the Chinese mainland market managed to eke out a 0.5% increase. Evidently, somebody in the government said go buy something. Europe mostly up. England is kind of the outlier in the bunch. They're down by about 0.9% halfway through their day. The rest of the continent is mostly up fractionally. Philip, keeping tabs and trying to keep track of my retirement account, that takes some help. I need a plan to be able to know I'm going to be able to retire on time. Help me out. How do I find you?
They give us a call at 863-382-0037 to schedule one of our core retirement design phone consultations where we can help them make sure that they're on the right path to retirement they always dreamed of. And then catch us this weekend for the Statler Financial Radio Show, 6 a.m. and noon on Saturday, 10 a.m. Sunday morning on Highlands News Talk, 730 and on 95.3 FM.
Alrighty, and us back together again on Monday morning, same time on Light, to tell you what's likely to affect your money next week. Have a safe weekend. Hope you stay dry, Philip, and we'll see you then, all right?
All right, man. You too.
Thank you, sir. It's 105.7 Light FM and Statler Financial Services, Phillip Statler.
Hey, folks, again, I want to thank you for joining us. Please, please, please be safe as the tropical storm heads through this weekend. and hopefully we'll catch you next Monday, same time, same place. Until then, be safe. Bye now.